It is time now to welcome in the Culture Blaster. This guy has watched so many movies this week, he is prepared to rock his segment. Michael Snyder, everybody. He comes and goes on a rainbow. Welcome to the show, Michael Snyder. Hello.
Well, hi, Kim, and hi, Albert, and hi, Mark in absentia, Michael Store, wherever he is. I don't know where these guys are. The DNC was A-OK, didn't you think?
I loved it. I'm going through a withdrawal. I don't know what I'm going to do with myself tonight.
I don't know. With all the talk about Beyonce or Taylor Swift or Springsteen or Dylan showing up, it did turn out that the surprise guest on this final night of the convention was Kamala Harris
Yeah.
as the Democratic nominee. I, I, I guess the only person uh, that thought she was a surprise would probably be the right-wing troll who expected the Democrats to try and sneak Michelle Obama or Gavin Newsom in there as the candidate instead of
Yeah.
Kamala. There was a lot of talk about that online, and I always thought that was kind of nuts.
Interesting. Yeah. Nope. We're Kamala all the way. That's it.
Well, let's get down to some movies because that's why I'm here.
Right. Let's do it. What do you got first?
Okay, in 1994, a little history here. The Crow, starring Brandon Lee, adapted a well-regarded graphic novel and told the tale of a musician and his fiancée who are brutally murdered by some gang members. And on the anniversary of their death, Eric, the musician, rises from the grave and takes on the mantle of the Crow, a seemingly invulnerable avenger who I suppose is going to do what he can to, I don't know, bring back his beloved Shelley. I don't know what for whatever purpose, there he is, combating evil and trying to bring her back. But unfortunately, Lee himself died an untimely death, giving a more mystical vibe to the movie in its aftermath than the movie itself had. And there were sequels, minus the late Lee and his character, and they were rolled out in 1996 and 2000 to minimal impact. So now it's what, 30 years later, and there's a remake of the original with Bill Skarsgård, son of Stellan, brother of Alexander, and I guess best known to date as Pennywise the Clown in the remake of Stephen King's It and its sequel, as a reimagined Eric. This Eric isn't a musician, but is instead a tormented delinquent from a troubled background. In fact, the whole deal is reimagined as Eric's great love, Shelley, is the musician here, albeit one with some ugliness in her own past. And she's played by the British pop singer FKA Twigs. Yeah,
I've
that's
never
her
heard
name.
of her.
That's her name.
Okay.
And they meet at a prison like rehab center, and it's a co ed rehab center, except, the women and the men can't sit together in the cafeteria. In any event, my God, they come together in this rehab center and they go on the run because Shelley is being targeted by a literally hellish villain played by Danny Houston, the great Danny Houston. So a little class brought to the event. When you have Danny there in his finery, and in the process, Eric and Shelley fall in insta love. And that romance, such as it is, takes up at least the first half of this movie in a very sluggish manner as director Rupert Sanders lets the whole affair meander. And when the twosome is finally confronted by the bad guys' thugs, and Eric is unleashed as the Crow on a mission to save Shelley, it's almost too late. That said, the last third of the movie may appeal to action fans. On the strength of that climactic section, one of my reviewing peers called this iteration of The Crow a gothic John Wick. And, that's fair, but it's insufficient
Ooh.
to earn a recommendation from me. I mean, John Wick is fire. This was like an ember that needed to be hosed down.
Does that
I,
mean it's really gory and like gruesome?
there are moments of slash and burn
Yeah.
and blood.
Okay.
Look, Skarsgård is as good as he could be considering the murky, muddy proceedings and the rules of crowdom His powers and the afterlife in general are pretty vague. Yeah, Houston is Houston with limited screen time, and FKA Twigs, she's there. That's about the best you
Okay.
can say. I won't be eating crow when I say that this version of The Crow doesn't come anywhere near matching the cult appeal of the original 1994 film. That said, it is in theaters.
Well done. Well done. All
Well,
right. What else did you watch?
I have some good movies to recommend. To recommend.
Please.
Prepare yourself. Okay, for her first feature film project, Behind the Camera, actress Zoe Kravitz has co-written and directed. Speaking of hell, a hell of an entertaining thriller with savvy subtext galore. It's called Blink Twice.
Okay.
Although you're not going to want to blink too much, or you're going to miss a few twists and turns that go down. The premise is quite 21st century. A tech billionaire named Slater King, played in perfectly unctuous fashion by Channing Tatum, is
Which are
so rich.
they're engaged, right?
Tatum and Zoe Kravitz.
Yeah.
I don't read Us Weekly. I'm sorry, I
Oh.
can't answer that question. So
Okay.
anyway, the premise of Blink Twice is very 21st century. You got this tech billionaire, right? And he's played by Tatum, and he is so rich. Go ahead, ask me, Kim.
How rich is he?
He has his own private island, like Richard
Nice.
Branson and Mark
Okay.
Zuckerberg, and who knows who else in the 1%. And it's a good thing, too, because this character, King, was accused of questionable, cancel worthy behavior in the past. And at least for a time, he stepped back from actively running his megalithic company and instead spent most of his time on the island. But as the movie begins, he's attempting to regain control of his business after the public shaming has gone down, and saying he's a new man. He holds a fundraising gala intended to burnish his image. And there, King encounters a cocktail waitress named Frida, played by Naomi Aki, and her friend Jess, played by Aaliyah Shawkat, and invites them to join him and his friends for an extended getaway vacation on the island, right? All fun and frolic in paradise until Frida and Jess notice things going slightly awry. Now, I'm not going to say that all hell breaks loose, like a Lord of the Flies theme party, but stuff happens and it's freaky. King's friends and associates are played by, among others, get ready, Christian Slater, Adria Arjona, Kyle MacLachlan, Haley Joel Osment, and Gina Davis. So it's an awesome
Oh,
ensemble
wow.
that means business, and everybody is on board regardless of the size of the role. And Aki and Shawkat are great audience surrogates when the craziness commences. Kravitz has a lot to say here about wealth, privilege, gender roles, cancel culture, exploitation, and the wages of hedonism. In fact, she has
Mm.
so much to say in such a rapid fire manner that not all of it may come through, but what does land is gripping and sometimes darkly funny. Blink Twice isn't, a poke in the eye with a sharp stick. It's a poke in the brain. And if it's not a perfect poke, it's a welcome one. Blink Twice is in theaters. Good for Zoe Kravitz.
So, in all of this, I'm trying to figure out what kind of genre this movie would be categorized in. Would you say it's a psychological thriller or a horror movie or what?
It's a little bit of both. It's a mystery. It's
Okay.
definitely a psychological thriller. There are horror elements,
Okay.
but that said, I thought it was pretty smart and a whale of fun.
Okay. All
Now,
right.
a movie I liked even better. Are you ready?
Yes, bring it.
One of my absolute favorite movies of the year so far is Strange Darling, which is a lean,
Mm.
mean, and cleverly structured thriller about a serial killer on the loose in the boondocks, written and directed with boldness and confidence by J.T. Molnar. So, in Strange Darling, a rugged and seemingly self possessed guy picks up a cute, provocative, up for a good time gal, or she picks him up, and it doesn't matter who initiated the encounter, but things don't quite go as one might expect in the scenario. At least that's how it seems until it doesn't. It would do the movie a great disservice to reveal much more.
Okay.
other than to say that the story is told in a very creative way that requires the viewer to play a little connect the dots. And the whole enterprise gets wilder and more surprising as it goes on. I will say that the movie's central performances by Willa Fitzgerald and Kyle Gallner are first rate. I mean, they kill it, so to speak. And I can't wait to see what they do next. Fitzgerald, in particular, blew me away. And the supporting players are led by the ever reliable Ed Begley Jr. and Barbara Hershey, superb, as a wholesome hippie couple who live in relative quietude amid the splendor of nature. And speaking of the views, the cinematography is spiffy, and it is, in fact, the work of actor Giovanni Ribisi, who you may recall from Boiler Room, the Avatar movies, and as
Mm-hmm.
Phoebe's brother in Friends. And he is apparently skilled, man. Seems like he has some serious skill on
Mm.
both sides of the camera. But ultimately, this is filmmaker Molnar's triumph. The best accolade that I can give Strange Darling is that I felt the same thrilling sense of discovery while watching it and the same pleasure mulling it over afterwards as I felt regarding the Coen brothers' breakout movie Blood Simple.
Huh.
I'm not sure that Molnar will have as long and honored a career as the Coens, but Strange Darling suggests that he is trending that way. It's in select theaters, but Mark should get it, Courtney, the true crime aficionado, to watch it when it hits streaming at very, very least.
Absolutely. That's her kind of jam. That's good.
I think so. Let's
Yeah.
see here. Okay, let's lighten up. We'll lighten up.
Okay.
Between the Temples comes from director and co-screenwriter Nathan Silver. It's not quite a May December tale about a younger man, in this case a cantor at a suburban synagogue, getting involved with an older woman, one who was his grade school teacher. It's more of a
Oh.
July October thing, you
What?
know. In any case, the best thing about this movie is the rapport between Jason Schwartzman and Carol Kane as the two central figures. Uh, Angst-ridden unmarried cantor Ben, whose two Jewish mothers want him to find a wife and settle down, and free-spirited Carla, who, despite her advancing years, decides she wants to get bat mitzvahed and chooses Ben to instruct her in the Torah. So, as this unlikely pair grows closer, their respective families begin to freak the hell out. I mean, some of Between the Temples is damn funny. Some of it is sharp in how it skewers human foibles. Some of it is sweet in its examination of faith and love and decency. And some of it's cringy enough to inspire a funky tune that I would probably entitle Things That Make You Go Oi. You know, it was
Mm.
all in all, it's hard to be down on such a good natured, slightly screwball, and unabashedly ethnic, but somehow universal comedy with genuine heart. Between the Temples is in select theaters. It was pretty good, you know.
Nice. All right.
Let's wrap up the movie segment by talking briefly about the Supremes at Earl's All You Can Eat, which is a drama, efficiently written, if a little familiar in a few of its tropes, very well directed and very well acted by a cast that includes, among others, Onjanu Ellis Taylor, Sanaa Lathan, Uzu Aduba, uh, Mekhi Phifer is in this, who he's really, really good. Julian
Okay.
McMahon, of all people, Vondi Curtis Hall, that old smoothie. And it's basically about, uh, you know, a bunch of women, three women, a trio of best buddies who meet when they're kids, essentially, and maintain this lifelong friendship. And through flashback, we see them when they're young. We see the trials and tribulations. We see them as they grow older. And again, it's a little familiar in a few of its tropes, but imagine Hallmark and BET co-produced the movie for both channels. That's the
Is that
Supreme
this?
at Earl's All You Can Eat. But it's on Hulu, and it's a cut above some of what those aforementioned channels usually program. And again, the cast, so cool. The girls, when they're young, are dubbed the Supremes by Earl and his diner is where they meet and continue to meet over time as they go through the kind of crises that people face over the course of a lifetime. And they are, of course, buoyed and supported by their friendship, which occasionally goes a bit awry, and nonetheless, they are solid and loving. And, again, hard to come down on something like this. I
Hmm.
think for its market, people will really enjoy it.
All right, that's the Supremes at Earl's All You Can Eat. And that looks like it's on Hulu. What else is streaming?
Well, you know what? I like to occasionally refer to what's new and exciting in terms of series, television, whether streaming or network. But I'm going to talk about a couple of shows that are on later seasons in their run.
Mm.
I finally got to watch the third season of Girls Five Eva, which is about the trials and tribulations of a now middle aged girl group, one hit wonders, who are on the comeback trail after a couple decades of obscurity. It was co created by Tina Fey, who did, of course, 30 Rock and the unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt. And it stars a real life musician. One who's actually written for Broadway, Sarah Bareilles, as one of the quartet who used to be a quintet until one
Hmm.
of their members disappeared years ago. Busy Phillips as sort of the influencer of the group. Paula Pell as the group member who kind of went to seed but is still holding on to her relationship with the other women. And another professional, Renee Elise Goldsberry, as the big time singer who kept working as a solo artist but never achieved the fame that they had with that first hit. So they reunite, and the show is about that. And it's funny and sharp, and it takes aim at the music business and features recurring appearances by the great Ashley Park as the now missing member of Girls Five Eva. And
Hmm.
Ashley Park is the wonderful foil and great singer on Emily in Paris. You may know
Oh
her from
yeah,
that. And Andrew Reynolds.
she's got quite the voice. Pretty
Oh,
amazing.
she's a
Hmm.
legit. She and Renee Elise
Yeah.
Goldsberry are Broadway babies, and of course Sarah
Hmm.
Bareilles is a singer songwriter of some repute.
Hmm.
And so you got real talent here, and there's new music, generally parodies, but new music virtually every week or every episode. And some of the guest stars have included Stephen Colbert, Vanessa Williams, Bowen Yang, Amy Sedaris, Richard Kind, and even series co-creator Tina Fey, who shows up as, are you ready? Dolly Parton. Anyway,
Oh wow. Okay.
Girls Five Eva is on Netflix, and I recommend it. And I'll just wrap up quickly by saying, season 12, I think, of Futurama. Is on Hulu. It's Matt Groening's second long-running animated sitcom after The Simpsons. It preceded his other show, Disenchanted. And Futurama is about life 1,000 years from now for the misfits working at Planet Express delivery service in New York. And it features great voice talent, funny people. Billy West as unfrozen 20th century delivery boy Philip J. Fry, Katie Segal as Leela, the rough and ready, one eyed, purple haired pilot of Planet Express. And John DiMaggio as Bender, the robot. And it turns out that Bender has always had the last name Rodriguez. And the first episode of the new season is called The One Amigo. And he goes down to Mexico to reconnect with his roots. And this stuff's crazy, but they take on all manner of contemporary issues. That particular episode skewered NFTs, for instance.
Oh,
And all the other characters are there: Professor Farnsworth, Doctor Zoidberg. If you know, you know. But
you're so
Futurama,
fun.
very entertaining.
Yeah. Well, you are really fun. I have the best time listening to you and talking with about all the movies and things. Are you doing anything else this weekend? Any sports? Any big music shows that are on tap for you?
I think I'm going to be watching Giants Mariners tonight.
Okay.
Tomorrow night, I am going to be in Los Angeles at the Constellation Club at the legendary Formosa restaurant, the longtime Chinese restaurant in Hollywood that was refurbished a few years ago. It used to be a major hangout for Frank Sinatra and the Rat Pack and
Oh.
people like that. So the walls are tidy, but they're still replete with history.
Mm-hmm.
And it'll be co-entrepreneur Olivia's birthday, so I'm excited to go there and do a little dancing to space age discotheque music like 60s and 70s deep cuts. Very exciting.
Fun. Well, happy dancing and happy baseballing, and have a great weekend. Thanks for all the movie reviews.
Hey, my pleasure, Kim, and thanks for being there. We'll see you guys next week, I hope.
Absolutely. Michael Snyder, the Culture Blaster. You can find him at The Voice of San Francisco. I believe it's called thevoicesf.org is where you can find him online. You'll find his writings there. And of course, at Culture Blaster is his handle, how you can find him online as well. Thank you, Michael Snyder. He comes and goes.
My pleasure. See you guys.
On a rainbow. There he goes. Bye, Michael Snyder. Have a great weekend.
Hi, it's Mark, and I thought that was great. Hit the notification bell, you'll know whenever there's a new video being dropped, and please subscribe to our channel to help us save the universe.